America's founders, they were the Gen Z of their day. And when they were your age, they started a country. What the f*** have you done?
That's political commentator and relapsing sensible person Bill Maher openly singing the praises of the Constitution and Founding Fathers in response to recent attacks from radical liberals and Gen Z mitwits on the left. Welcome to Nerk News, I'm Nerkish, and it looks like Bill Maher might have stopped taking his crazy pills, because not only did he push back on the idea of Democrats dissolving the Supreme Court in a recent interview with author Fran Lebowitz, he's now reciting unexpected love letters to the US Constitution and its founders.
Constitution Day was last week. It's an actual federal holiday, but no one noticed, despite the fact that it's probably the greatest legal document ever. Is it flawed? Of course. It was written by humans, and they were all white men, as depicted in this illustration from Google AI. But how about looking at the actual ideas in it? I won't hold my breath for that, because only 14% of 8th graders are proficient in history now, and only 22% in civics, which may be why 4 in 10 Gen Zers say the authors of the Constitution are best described as villains. Wow. It's amazing, since in 1776, James Monroe was 18. Alexander Hamilton was 21, and James Madison 25. Joe Biden was only 30. America's founders, they were the Gen Z of their day. And when they were your age, they started a country. What the fuck have you done? So no, the Constitution isn't perfect because it wasn't written by Taylor Swift, but... And yes, the founders made excruciating compromises, obviously slavery. But slavery was a deal breaker for the southern states. So there would have been two countries. And then to end slavery in North America, it would have involved invading a sovereign nation instead of having the moral high ground of keeping a union together. Would that have been better? History's complicated, and Gen Z reasoning is not. They think they're pure, but they're really just simplistic. They know two things. White people did some very bad things, and no, that's it. That's all they know. That's what they know.
Once again, Maher's not wrong in this particular instance, but regardless, it doesn't change the simple fact that he's still going to vote for Democrats and Harris, who will ultimately work to undermine and undo everything he was just praising. And it's not just because of crackpots like the woman he had on his show talking about the Supreme Court. Democrats are openly hostile towards the Second Amendment, and John Kerry just referred to the first as a roadblock to stopping misinformation. I mean, for crying out loud, the party Maher says he's supporting is legitimately going on TV and saying things like we need to fundamentally restructure the Constitution.
When you ask people, should we do this by democracy or by this antiquated electoral college thing, it's not close. You know, partisan issues are close. Trump-Harris decision is close. But look at this. 58% of people in Gallup this month prefer a democracy vote, which they call the popular vote, only 40% electoral college. Should Americans care about trying to change that structural inequity?
We have to change it. You know, our foundational electoral system was affected very much by slavery. This was an effort by the small states and the slave states to make sure they didn't lose their influence in the compromises that were in the design of the Constitution and so forth. So we have two problems. We have a Constitution that was built around the notion of slavery, and we have a corrupt Supreme Court, which has already elected one president, or selected one president, George W. Bush, by improper means, and which has also made some outrageous claims that I think would most of the Constitution, people who wrote the Constitution, would turn over in their grave if they ever saw it, which is this crackpot right-wing theory about the immunity of the president to be able to do whatever they damn well please. We need fundamental restructuring of our democracy if we're going to keep our democracy. Right now, we don't have a functional court system. They are, as one of the justices coined the phrase a bunch of political hacks. She was trying to claim they weren't political hacks, but they are political hacks in the majority, and two of them are clearly corrupt. So we have a big problem with our democracy, and we need to fix it, and the public, I think, is on our side.
You know, it's interesting how they constantly fearmonger that Trump is a threat to the Constitution, then see no issue with suggesting that it's a fundamentally flawed document in need of restructuring, and America needs to eliminate the Electoral College and wreck the Supreme Court to get rid of justices they don't like. Call me crazy, but that doesn't seem to jive too well with that little heartfelt speech Bill Maher made a few moments ago. But let me know what you think. Is the Constitution in trouble if Democrats win in November? Let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. That stuff really does help us out. Until then, this has been Nerk News. Thanks for watching. Bye!